Gittin Daf Yomi GITTIN, letting go. Me'ematai k'tuva mishametet. It's always so exciting every morning to open the Gemara and think, what are we going to find here today? What are we going to discover in the Gemara today? And even if we know what the sugya is about, we know that technically we know what the vessel is, but what's the content? What's between the lines? Or what are we going to discover in the Gemara, and how will the Gemara teach this to us? And today we learn about the fact that our journey through life is a journey of learning to let go. We start off as an infant and we hold on to our toys very tightly, and we hold on to our food very tightly. We don't let go. It's hard for an infant to let go of something that it wants to keep to itself. And then we grow up and we develop, and our egos make sure that we hold on to everything very tightly. Our covet, we hold on to our honor, we hold on to our money, we hold on to our family, we hold on to life. Obviously, we're born with an instinct, a survival instinct, to hold on to life with everything we've got. And little by little over the journey of life, we need to learn how to let go. When I teach this in professionally to clients, I explain that you can hold something in two ways. You can hold something with your fist downwards, so that if you let go, it falls, and then you have to hold it very tight in case you let go. Or you can hold it with the palm of your hand upwards, and then the palm of your hand can be open because it won't fall. You're holding it lightly. And as we go through life, we learn to hold our ego-related stuff more lightly, and eventually to become detached. Because most of the suffering that we experience, as the Eastern philosophers discovered a long time ago, most of the suffering we feel is from loss or from fear of loss. But if we can detach, if we can let go a little bit, then it's okay. We can manage loss. We can deal with loss. It's like survivors of the Holocaust have often told me that once you've been through that, you can lose you're not afraid of losing. What can they take from you? What can you lose? You've come so close to losing everything, including your life. What can you lose? So you're more willing to take on risk. You're more willing to do things. You're not that attached to anything. And so one goes through life until at the end of one's life, one actually lets go of life itself. And that's the process of ultimately letting go. As the ego becomes less dominant and less powerful, and one is able to escape the force of the ego. We can never destroy the ego. The Yetzer Hara, we don't destroy the Yetzer Hara. We say, Atzileni miYetzer Hara. We want to be saved from it, so we've got to elevate ourselves above the ego and eventually get to a point where we can let go of stuff, even ultimately let go of life itself. That's the process of what it is. But we find mostly people tend to let go of their dreams and their aspirations and their potential. When they're young, they think of what they're going to be when they're bigger, and what they're going to be ultimately, and how wealthy they're going to be, and how much of Shas they're going to know, and what a great Rosh Yeshiva they're going to be, or a great professional person, a lawyer, a doctor, whatever it is. People have these dreams and aspirations, and through life we let go of those dreams and aspirations. But we hold on to what we've got really tight. And what we'll argue in the sugya today is it needs to be the other way around. Let go of what you've got. It's not so important. But don't let go of your dreams and aspirations. Don't let go of your potential. That is important. Let's see how we learn this. And in so doing it, I'm going to go through the way Rashi learns this piece of Gemara in a way that cuts through a lot of the discussion of the Acharonim. There's a lot of discussion on the Sugya and on the Acharonim. And the way we're going to learn it based on a Rimi Gash, just to cut through the noise and get to the essence of it. We start with the din of Shemitah. We know that Shemitah, apart from being a time to leave the land fallow, is also a time when the Shmitat Ksafim, where you've got to cancel loans. So in Parshas Ra'eh, we have Miket Sheva Shanim Ta'aseh Shemitah. You do a Shemitah at the end of 7 years. V'zeh davar ha'Shmitah shamot kol bal mashe yado asher yasher bere'ehu. Translated in one of the English translations that I found, at least it makes sense in the English, to cancel your debt. Every creditor shall cancel any loan they have made to a fellow Israelite. Lo yigos et re'ehu ve'et achiv ki kara shmitah laHashem. You shall not require payment, or yigos is more than that. It demands payment. It's oppress the person in order to get payment. You shouldn't press for payment, is what that really means. You shouldn't press for payment because it's a shmitah. A very important Malbim. The Malbim explains that there's a difference between the word nosheh and noges. Nosheh is I'm a creditor, noges is I'm an oppressor. And the difference is, says the Malbim, that noges is when you're not entitled to what you're claiming. Then it's like a tax collector is a noges. in those times when taxes were arbitrarily imposed and there wasn't a formula for it. The person would come and decide how much tax this Jewish person is going to have to pay. Taking money, then some will argue today that it's also noges. It's oppressing, it's demanding payment for something you're not entitled to demand payment for. That's noges. And says the Malbim, because Hashem has said there's a Shemitah, because Hashem has said there's no Shemitah, and I'm going to translate Shemitah differently. And it's in the translation that the whole sugya opens up. What does the word Shemitah mean? It comes from lishmot. What does lishmot mean? If something slips out of your hand, you say there's a shamat, it slipped out of my hand. Lishmot is to slip away. That's what Shemitah is. Let it slip away. All the money you plan to make from working your field this year, let it slip away. Let go. The money that somebody owes you, let it slip away. That's what the word shamot means. So says the Malbim, once Hashem has said, let it slip away, and you claim it, you're claiming something which isn't yours. And that's why it's noges, it's not noshe. You're not a creditor claiming your debt. It's no longer yours. Hashem has said, let it slip away, and you're pursuing it. That means it's not yours. That's what Shemitah really means. Let it go. Let it slip away. Now, this Malbim is very important in understanding the Gemara. So what does the Gemara say? Me'ematai ktuva mishametet. When can Shemitah apply to a ktuva? A man dies or divorces his wife. She's now entitled to the payment of a ktuva. But she hasn't taken the payment yet of a ktuva. Then comes Shemitah year. Does that go? Is her debt now gone? Can the estate or the divorced husband say to her, I'm sorry, I was going to pay you this $1 million in your ktuva, but it's Shemitah. What can we do? You've got to let it go. Let it slip out of your hand. No, the din is for a ktuva, there's no Shemitah. But there's a point at which that it does become Shemitah. So you notice in the Gemara's language here that a ksuba changes its form from a ktuva to, as Rashi says, k'sh'ar shtar chov. It can become a regular document of indebtedness. But that's not what it is to start with. So what is a ktuva? We've been talking about get and other shtarot. Ktuva is also a very unique document that has its own name. It's not called a shtar, it's called a ktuva. And what the ktuva is, so you see the ktuva goes through transformation. It goes from ktuva to shtar chov. But what was it to start with? What is a ktuva before it becomes a shtar chov? During the period of the marriage, what is a ktuva? At the moment of divorce or the moment of death, before she claims it, what is a ktuva? It says Rav, there's a machlokas Rav and Shmuel. Rav says she has to start drawing from the ktuva. Shetifgom v'tizkof. She's got to do two things. She's got to start drawing from the ktuva, and she's got to establish the balance as a debt owing to her. So she does an action which changes the ktuva from ktuva to shtar chov. Shmuel says one of the two, she doesn't have to do both. Rashi explains, but the important thing in Rashi is v'tiskof alav hamutar b'milva denafkala mishum ktuva umase beidin she'eno meshamet v'chal ala shem shtar chov. Ktuva goes from a maise bezdin. Maise bezdin means a decree of the bezdin, to a debt, to a document of indebtedness. That's the journey, that's the transformation. It goes from a maise bezdin to a shtar chov, says Rashi. It's important in the Rashi, for those of you learning the Gemara carefully, that when Rashi says it's on both, it's mishitifgom v'tizkof. There are achronim who learn Rashi as two different things. Mishitifgom and v'tizkof. V'tifgom, she demonstrates her intention. Tizkof, she starts the process. I'm suggesting you learn Rashi as one step. Me'ematai ktuva, meshitifgom v'tizkof. Then nafkala mishum ktuva ma'aseh bezdin. Then it goes from a Baisei Bezdin into a Shtar Chov. When she's done those two things, the Tosfos really explains why it has to be two, not one. And you see that in the Ran, the way the Ran on the Rif, who really uses Rashi as his Perush. When she starts paying and she makes the balance a debt, then the Nafkala Mitorah Ktuva B'Ayven Milva. The Ran makes it very clear that Rashi is to be learned as one thing. She has to do two things in order for one thing to happen. She has to start drawing and convert the balance into debt. Once she's done that, the shtar chov transforms, the ksuva transforms from a maise bezdin into a shtar chov. And the Ran also says that Shvius ena mishametet ela milve. Shvius only causes a debt to slip away, not other forms of indebtedness other than an actual loan. It has to be a loan. We see that in the Rambam, when the Rambam paskins based on the Gemara, with the Mishnah Shvius, that if you have credit, if a shopkeeper is owed money, Shemitah doesn't cancel that out. But if he converts it into a loan, it does cancel it out. Knasov, ones and mefateh, the fines that you have to pay, that the Torah imposes, Shemitah doesn't wipe it out. But if you convert it into a loan, it wipes it out. And then the Rambam paskins our din. Shemitah does not wipe out a ksuba, but if you convert it into a loan, then it wipes it out. So you see in the Rambam also it's milveh. But what does it mean, milveh? Why is the law of Shemitah only for a milveh? If you've got to let it go, why does it matter if you lent the money to the other person, or it's trade finance, or it's a fine that you've converted into a loan? Why is the milveh? Why is this so important? So to understand that, we have to go to the Rambam's Rebbe, the Rimi Gash. The Rimi Gash, although the Rimi Gash died only a few years after the Rambam was born, the Rimi Gash was the Rambam's father and Rebbe's Rav Muvhak. That was the Rimi Gash. And the Rambam considers himself to be a Talmud of the Rimi Gash. So the academics will say he can't be a Talmud of the Rimi Gash. He was 4 years old when the Rimi Gash died, or 5 years old. The Rambam says, I am a Talmud of the Rimi Gash, which means all the Torah he's got comes through his father from the Rimi Gash and the Rif. The Rif was the Rimi Gash's Rebbe. The Rif, Rimi Gash, through to the Rambam. That's one chain of our halachic tradition. And the Rimi Gash, the Rif said of his Talmud, the Rimi Gash, that even in the period of Moshe Rabbeinu, there was nobody as great as the Rimi Gash. So you understand who it is we're talking about. Unfortunately, we've only got a few Masechtas of the Rimi Gash's Peirush, but because of Shita Mukubetzes, we have him quoted all over Shas, including this one from Ksuvis. And the Rimi Gash says, "V'hainu taima de lo mishamet ela ad pegama v'zakafa mishum diktuva maaseh beitin." Here you see Rashi's words. Ksuba is a maaseh beis. What does that mean? Klomar eina chov she'asa'a al atzmo ela hadin hu she'asa'o alav. And I want you to understand this Rimi Gash. What the Rimi Gash is saying is, you're not the owner. You, the woman, is not the owner of your entitlement through the ksuba. The ksuba is a right. It's potential. You have a right to claim your ksuba. But you don't own anything until you start the claim. Then it converts from Maaseh Beis Din. Maaseh Beis Din means, says the Rimi Gash, Hadin hu she'asa'o alav. The Torah gave you this. It's not yours. It becomes yours when you start drawing, and when you convert it into a shtar, it becomes yours. What's the nafkamina? What difference does it make if it's yours or if it's not yours? Adain lav chovu ki echid shamitle. The Torah doesn't tell you, let it slip away if it isn't yours to start with. Things which are potential, your aspirations, your hopes, your ambitions, don't let that go. It's not yours to let go. That's a gift from Hashem. That Hashem has given you this belief in yourself, that Hashem has given you this vision of what could be. Don't let that go. There's no obligation to let that go. What you need to let go are the things we're attached to. I'm going to suggest, it was actually Ricky's suggestion to me yesterday, that at the end of the Matmonim, I challenge you to do something. And I think there are two things I challenge you to do virtually after every Matmonim. The one thing is, take the lesson and try it out today. Don't say tomorrow, because if it's tomorrow, tomorrow never comes. It's always tomorrow, 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 and then one forgets it and it's gone and it's history. Try it out today. Take something that you're very attached to and mentally, emotionally, try detaching a little bit from it. It's okay to let it go. Whether it's something to do with your COVID, with your ego, with your professional status, with money, just let it go. See what happens when you allow yourself to let it go. It's okay. I'm not saying physically give it away. I'm just saying detach from it a little bit. It doesn't define me. It doesn't define who I am. My image doesn't define me. My status doesn't define me. My money doesn't define me. I am who I am. That can't be taken away from me. Detach a little bit. So put into practice today. And the other thing is that Ricky and other people have told me, try and do a chazor. During the day, take the source sheet or just something just to run through it and remind yourself of the shiur. Either go through the shiur, you can go through it on high speed, or go through yesterday's shiur, or go through the source sheet. Just during the day, do something to recall it, to bring it back. If every day you could do that, the value of each shiur would be multiplied multiple fold in terms of its capacity to change you, to change your life, and to become part of who you are and part of your life. So put into practice today, detach from something that you're attached to. Do a chazorah, even just a moment's chazorah in your mind. Let the shiur flash through your mind, recall what it was about, learn just this rimigash and understand the approach and how we're using the rimigash to open up the sugya and understand Rashi. Just that to be able to take away with you would be enormously valuable.